Slurped it up, my G's. I hope you're all doing wonderful. And thank you all for voting, by the way, on my little poll I did a few days ago about what kind of videos you want to see this week. And when I was checking, the most popular one was actually composition and arrangement tips. So I went ahead and started making a tutorial about that. But now, looking back again, it seems that Vital Sound Design has taken the lead again. And mixing and mastering tips are up there as well. So I'm going to do a bit of all three. So today we're going to do a little composition and arrangement 3 tips. And then after this, I'm going to go ahead and make some new tutorials about some new mixing and mastering tips that I haven't shared before. And also think of some new Vital Sound Design stuff that I haven't tried yet. Okay, so thank you, by the way, for everyone for voting. It was lots of people voted, so I appreciate that because it helps me, know what you guys want because I'm here to serve you. I'm your loyal servant. 6 days a week, 5.5 days a week. There's a bass I did a little while back called The Good Shepherd. I think the video is called Insane Vital Bass, and I've used that one in this tutorial to get the ball rolling. But basically, we have got 3 concepts that I want to share with you guys today, which are compositional and arrangement tips, stuff that I always do without kind of thinking about it, but it's good to talk about it and break it down, perhaps. I started with this Good Shepherd Vital preset that I already made, but I've just changed the speed of it here because before it was a little bit different, and I've changed the sort of rhythm. There's the same patch, just with a different LFO rate. And I wanted to say, so let's say you've got like this bass line just playing the whole way through, and then maybe you've got some drums as well, and that's all you've got, and you're wondering, okay, what do I do next? Like I've got one bass line that's cool, I've got a kick and snare and some hi-hats. What do I do next? How do I get more interesting, more interesting a loop after that, So, the first thing I thought I'd do is I'll bounce that out. So I'll bounce out the bass line. So I've got it here. And so I've got this as a main bass line. And I've got loads of channels here where I've been doing sound design with this bass line then. So what I thought I would do is I would bounce out some more versions of the bass with a effect on it. So I've used a plugin called Sweep, which is a free one. And it can be quite interesting to get new harmonics into the sound. And shout out my student Malcolm, who also sent me this recently. I think I've actually maybe actually done a video on this in the past because I realised I already had downloaded the plugin, but I sort of forgotten about it. But anyway, what it's cool about it is just some of the harmonics you can get with the resonant kind of filter shapes. So basically, that's like one setting, and then what I did is I bounced out the whole bass again with that on it. Then I've done another kind of version, just sort of messing around, not really. Not really taking it too seriously, just like trying to get different kind of versions of the bass line. And I basically bounced out 2 versions with the sweep and the one without the sweep. And then I had 3 versions of the bass line. And then the next step was to basically chop certain notes out and replace them for ones with the sweep effect on. Okay, so I've already sort of done this prior to making this video. So this is not the best explanation right now. But essentially, I have three layers of the bass line, 2 with the sweep on. And I'll just like delete one of the main one and replace it with one of the sweep ones, that kind of thing, until I've got a new file of bass sounds. What I also did then with those new like bass hits with different effects on them is I then also chopped them up and I moved the little hits around to create a new groove along with the kick and snare. So now you've got these kind of like chopped up bass notes, some with the sweep effect on, some without. So you can see that one there has got a big sweep on it. That one there has got one on. I think that one there has got one on. And I've just sort of placed them so that they kind of fit with the kick and snare in an interesting way. And I've left a little gap at the beginning because this is where I want to do a little bit of call and response now, because that's the key thing when it comes to always like progressing the loop, is to find new ways to do call and response. Okay, so just to recap, one singular bass line, kind of a bit boring. So made 3 versions of it, some with effects on, some without, and then re-chopped that around. And then I've made a space in the arrangement to get a new sound in. And I can already go ahead and add this new one in. And this is just a different bass, scrolling through presets until I found one that fits together with it. And this is from a previous Vital pack. It's called the Naughty Tension, Sir. And yeah, it sounds like it's a bit of a sort of more, just a low kind of rumbling sub bass kind of thing. So I've created a really simple call and response pattern. And all this is basically a new bass on the first part of each bar, you know, so directly on the 1, directly on the 2, directly on the 3, and directly on the 4. And that's sort of the call always. And then this long bass line I had before, which I've chopped up in various ways with different effects on, that's the response. Okay, and if you put it together then with the kick and snare again. Okay, so hopefully giving you some kind of creative ideas. Again, just to wrap up one more time, that whole first bass line on its own with the kick and snare. You know, little bits like repetitive because it's the same sound. So firstly, doing different versions of the sound with the sweep, and then secondly, already composing a call and response pattern so that I've got a new bass line that I can fit with it like straight away, because it's just going to quickly make it much more of a dynamic loop, you know. So having those 2 basses to play between, and then the original one also has like a couple of variations within it where the effect is on or off. So that's like 2 main compositional things that you can always try, is, you know, rebouncing the bass line with different effects and chopping and changing the notes around within it. And then secondly, adding in another bass that's different to call and response with it, and trying to write it so that it feels funky to the groove. And another thing that I always do is I on purposely always play it with the kick and the snare, like, and find the right spots, but I often like try to anchor things like directly onto the kick or directly onto the snare, so that those changes are like very like fitting with the drums. And I'll place intentional gaps as well, so the gaps also add a bit of funk, you know. So you don't have to have the bass on all the time. Like having some gaps in the composition can massively help. And then a last little bonus thing to do a bit of extra call and response, but also in the drums, is to add in 2 different kind of top loops. And I've got one like slow open kind of cymbal group, and then a fast shaker to response with it. Okay. So again, we're doing call and response. That's the key part of this video here. Call and response between the 2 bass sounds, like that's always a technique you can work, and you can do that on different kind of, you know, fast or slow. Here I've done it fast. I've done call, quick response, call, quick response, and that's sort of happening every bar. But in the drums, there's a slower call and response thing, so it's every 2 bars. So the call is 2 bars, and then the response is 2 bars here. So call and response is happening within the drums and within the bass arrangement, but at different time frames. Okay, that's basically it. So 3 tips to remember, something that's always going to work. You got one really long bass, like cool bass sound, to keep it from becoming boring. Bounce a few versions out of it with different effects on. You can use like a filter plugin or try the sweep plugin, which is free and cool. Second tip is get in the habit of doing a call and response between two different bass sounds, and you can just have one like directly on the kick and then the other one kind of plays off of it, and then going back to the first one again and sort of playing between two different bass sounds that fit together. Keep cycling through until you find ones that naturally work together. And third tip is do a call and response in the background part of the drums with like the cymbal loops, you know. And again, that can be like on a different time frame to the call and response that's happening in your bass arrangement. So then it's like it's more rhythmically complex. So that's a little bit of a complicated tutorial. I probably haven't explained that super well, but there's sort of 3 tips in there for you on like how you can inject a bit of extra interest into a loop by using call and response in different ways. So more a little video for more beginner intermediate producers today, but hopefully you found some use from it anyway. Thank you very much for watching, and we're going to smash out some more tutorials this week, so feel free to comment down below what you want to see next as well, what was helpful, what wasn't. And also thanks for checking out my last release Bronx, which is up on my SoundCloud and Spotify and also on Bandcamp. Some of you already grabbed a copy, so thank you very much. I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. Much love.